There's something that comes very natural to most of us when it comes to interacting with someone who is in the midst of a big struggle or who has just experienced a significant loss. And it's this. We often shift into telling the story of someone we know who has experienced something similar, or our own experience of something similar. And I think one reason we do it, there's a bit of an awkward silence, or we want to say something that's helpful and meaningful, and we want to say something that expresses that we get what they're going through, that we have thought about it, that we just get it. And so our brains, I think, go on a search, kind of like a computer search, and we're looking for a match of what they're experiencing and something about either ourselves or someone we know that's somehow similar. Now, that's not a bad thing. I think it's a natural thing. It's just the way our brains work. But I guess I would say to you, if you are interacting with someone who's going through a loss, just because your brain goes on that search and actually finds a match, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should then talk about that or tell that story of someone else or yourself to the person who's grieving. Why? Because their loss, their struggle has filled them up. They don't have room or space in their hearts, in their emotions, in their souls, in their thoughts about someone else going through something similar. We say it because we're really aiming to help them or perhaps even encourage them by someone else's story. But the truth is, when you're going through the midst of something overwhelming, usually it's just really not helpful to hear the story of someone else who has gone through it. So I just would want to say to you, as your brain goes on that search and you find the match and you're beginning to start into your own story of your experience or the loss of someone else, just give that a pause. Instead of insisting to fill up what may be awkward silence with a story about yourself, which turns the focus to yourself, or the story about someone else, which turns the focus someone way else, just determine that you want to listen. Ask an open-ended question, not a question like, how are you, which sounds perhaps like they're supposed to give a report on how they're doing through this. Not a question that's necessarily nosy or bringing up issues that might add to their anxiety. But you might ask a question that's something like, what is your grief like these days? It's very open-ended. It invites them to share about themselves. And what it does is it esteems their struggle, esteems their grief by keeping the focus on them, rather than by telling your own story, putting the focus on you.